Today's lesson is about how to write a letter. Now, before we begin this task, let's do a brief review about what a sentence is. A sentence is basically just a group of words together, and it starts with a capital letter and it ends with a full stop. Now, a paragraph is a group of sentences, and a paragraph begins with an indent, which is a space. Now, if I write a short paragraph, okay, so in this brief paragraph, I have stuck to one subject, which is myself. So a paragraph is a group of sentences about one topic. Okay, so now we remember what a sentence is and what a paragraph is. We can begin our task, which is to write a letter. Now, today's letter is concerning this topic. Let's make that a bit bigger. So the topic is, you have borrowed 10 library books and, due to an urgent matter, you will not be able to return them on time. Write a letter politely explaining your position and requesting that your fine be withheld. Okay, so now letters fall into some different categories. One category is a complaint, one category is a request, one category is a friendly letter, and one category is a business letter. There are other types too. Now, if we look at this letter and what we've been asked to do here, this letter is a basic request. So let's just go over the task together. So firstly, if we go over some of the vocabulary, now it says you have borrowed 10 library books and due to an urgent matter you will not be able to return them on time. Now, an urgent matter is something very important, perhaps an emergency or something that you absolutely have to do. So there's no way you can avoid it. Now, we're asked to write a letter politely explaining. Now, if we just go over the word politely, politely is basically being friendly. We don't want to be aggressive, we want to be nice in this letter. Now, this is different from if we were writing a complaint, where we might want to be a little bit more aggressive. But in this letter, we're going to try to be as polite as possible. Okay, now the rest of it says explaining your position and requesting that your fine be withheld. So if we just review this word here, fine. Now, a fine is if you do something that's not allowed in some cases, like if you drive too fast, then you have to pay some money as a punishment. And the same thing is true at a library. So if you keep your book for too long, past when it's due, then you will have to pay a fine, which is basically a punishment for keeping your book too long. Okay, so we're asking basically in this letter, now we're writing to the library and we're saying, sorry, I cannot return my library books because I have a very important problem. After we tell them this, we want to ask them, we want to say, is it possible, is it at all possible that you could not penalize me or fine me for not returning the books on time? Okay, so that's the task. That's the task that we're asked to do. So now I'll put this back up in a second. I'm just going to take that away. So now when it comes to writing a letter, the first thing we need to do is address the person that we're writing to. Now, in this case, we're writing to a library person that we don't know. And it could be a woman or it could be a man. So we would say, Dear Sir or Madam. And we say or with a slash. We wouldn't actually write Dear Sir or Madam. So Dear Sir, Madam, comma. Now that's the way that we begin a letter. We always write dear at the beginning, and if we don't know who it is, we write Sir or Madam. And now in a letter, we basically have 3 sections that we want to complete. And each section is 1 paragraph long. So the first section states the purpose of the letter. So basically this tells us, or tells the person reading it, why are we writing? Why are we writing to this person? The second section, this gives the details of the letter. Okay, so this outlines, so we're writing this because these are, this is what's happened, and we want to explain our situation. So this is basically an explanation. I should also point out that this first section, we want this to be roughly 1 to 2 sentences. 1 to 2 sentences. Now, if you're writing a letter for an IELTS exam, you want to keep this letter to about 150 words in total. So you want this part to be about 1 sentence long. This next part, perhaps 3 to 4 sentences. We'll say 3 to 4 sentences. Whoops, 3 to 4 sentences. And the last section will also be 3 to 4 sentences. Okay. Now the third paragraph, it talks about what we want to happen, or what we expect. Okay, and once again, this is 3 to 4 sentences long. Roughly 3 to 4. Okay, so if we go over these sections again together, now this first section here, so we're going to say why we're writing. Basically, I am writing you this letter because this is what's happened. Now in number 2, we're going to give the details. So perhaps we would say, okay, we have 10 library books that are overdue or going to be overdue very soon, and we're not going to be able to get these books to you on time. I'm not going to be able to get these books to you on time. And number 3 is what we want to happen. So basically, we want to request that the fine be withheld. And of course, like the question outlined for us, we want to do this in the most polite way that we can. Okay, we want to be friendly in this letter. Okay, so let's start. Now I'm going to take this away. And we're going to start the first paragraph together. So maybe what I'll do is I'll stick our question back up here. Okay, so just to review once more, we're writing, so you have borrowed 10 library books and due to an urgent matter you will not be able to return them on time. Write a letter politely explaining your position and requesting that your fine be withheld. Okay, so in our first paragraph, now we want to indent, so I'm going to leave a space here, and I'm going to write the purpose of the letter. So basically, I am writing in regards to my library books, which are due in the near future. Okay, so basically we've outlined then somewhat the subject of what we're going to talk about in this letter. I'm writing in regards to library books which are due in the near future. Okay, now if you remember from before, the second section wants to give the details. This is the section where we can state what the exact situation is